Okay, let's start with a puzzle. What if I told you that one of the most compassionate acts in Buddhist history began with a public insult? It sounds crazy, right? Well, today we are diving deep into the brilliant and sometimes baffling idea of skillful means. This is the concept that a bodhisattva, a being totally dedicated to everyone's enlightenment, sometimes uses strange, even shocking methods to help us. And it all hinges on one very perplexing question.
So here it is. This is the core mystery. Why on earth would a bodhisattva, someone on the absolute verge of becoming a Buddha, stand up and publicly insult another perfect Buddha? It doesn't make any sense. It seems like a total contradiction. But if you can understand this one act, it unlocks the entire principle of skillful means.
And these aren't just rumors. These are the words straight from the scriptures. The person who had become our Buddha in a past life as a Brahmin named Jyoti said this about the Buddha of his time. How can a bald-headed man accomplish this matter? Wow. It's so dismissive, so insulting. What could possibly be the reason for this?
To solve this, we can't use our everyday logic. It just won't work. The only way in is to treat this like a Zen koan. You know, one of those paradoxical riddles. This whole puzzle is designed to point us toward a much deeper truth, one that operates beyond our simple ideas of good and bad.
And that deeper truth has a name: inconceivable skillful means. So what is that? Think of it like a master doctor. A master doctor doesn't give every single patient the same pill, right? They tailor the treatment perfectly to the individual's specific illness. That's what a bodhisattva does. Their actions are perfectly tailored, with incredible wisdom, to help the exact person in front of them. And because we're all so different, sometimes those methods can look really, really strange.
Now, that might still sound a little abstract. So to make this idea really hit home, the sutra gives us this fantastic parable. It's all about a guide in a dangerous wilderness, and it perfectly explains why these skillful means are so crucial.
So picture this. You've got this group of people, and they are completely lost in a huge, terrifying desert. It's dangerous, there are pitfalls everywhere. But they have a guide, a wise, compassionate person who knows the one and only one safe path to this magnificent city, a place of total safety and joy. The guide's only job is to get every single person there, whatever it takes.
And the cool part is, the sutra decodes this whole thing for us. The wilderness, that's not just a desert, that's samsara, our endless, suffering cycle of birth and death. The guide, of course, is the bodhisattva, and that magnificent city, that's full enlightenment, Buddhahood. And those deep pits on the side of the path, well, that's what happens when we aim for smaller goals, like maybe just seeking liberation for ourselves. From the bodhisattva's view, that's an incomplete journey.
So the guide, our bodhisattva, really has two essential tools in their kit to keep everybody on that one, single, narrow path. They need wisdom to actually see the path, and they need skillful means to persuade, encourage, and sometimes even shock people into staying on it, especially when they're tired and want to give up.
Okay, so with that principle in our back pocket, let's see how it plays out in the Buddha's own life. The sutra does this brilliant thing where it asks a series of why questions about how the bodhisattva chose to appear in the world. And trust me, every answer is a masterclass in skillful means.
First step, why a normal human birth? I mean, a being that powerful could surely just appear out of thin air in a flash of light, right? Why go through the whole messy, vulnerable process of being born like the rest of us?
And the answer is just beautiful. It's all about compassion. If he just appeared magically, we'd all say, oh, sure, he can do it. He's a magical being. That has nothing to do with me. But by being born a human, he made the most powerful statement possible. This path is for you. This potential for enlightenment is inside every single one of us. It wasn't about necessity. It was an act of teaching.
All right, next one. This one is super famous. The baby bodhisattva taking 7 steps right after he's born and making this huge declaration. Now, let's be honest. Taken at face value, that could sound a little arrogant, couldn't it? So, what was really going on there? Turns out, this teaching wasn't even for humans. This was a message aimed squarely at the gods, the celestial beings, or devas. See, a lot of them were chilling in their heavenly realms, feeling pretty proud and thinking they were the top dogs of the universe. This act was a cosmic wake-up call. It showed a power and a purpose way beyond their own, shaking them out of their complacency and pointing them toward true liberation. Now let's move on to another famous and often misunderstood part of the story, those 6 years the Buddha spent in extreme asceticism. The idea of skillful means gives us a totally new lens to see this intense period of suffering.
So on the surface, you could look at this and just say, oh, well, that's karma. He said those harsh words as Jyoti, and now he's paying the price. But the sutra pulls back the curtain to show us a much, much deeper strategy. This was a deliberate demonstration. At the time, India was filled with spiritual seekers who were convinced that torturing the body was the only way to free the spirit.
So get this, the Bodhisattva didn't just try these practices, he mastered them. He became the greatest ascetic of all. And then, he publicly walked away from it all, proving to everyone that this path only leads to burnout, not to liberation. By doing that, he could teach the middle way with total authority. He wasn't just guessing, he had walked that dead-end road to its absolute limit and could say with 100% certainty, don't go this way, here is the true path.
And now, with our understanding of inconceivable skillful means, we can finally go all the way back to the beginning. It's time to solve the mystery of Jyoti the Brahmin and his shocking words. So here's what was really going on. It was never an insult. It was a brilliant, high-stakes rescue mission. See, Jyoti's 5 best friends had been totally brainwashed by a false teacher. They hated the Buddha. If Jyoti had praised the Buddha, they would have just walked away. So he puts this incredible plan into motion. First, he pretends to agree with them, bad-mouthing the Buddha to earn their trust. Then, a friend stages this dramatic public scene, violently dragging Jyoti towards the Buddha. The 5 friends, worried about their friend Jyoti, follow along and walk right into the Buddha's presence. The moment they saw him, his compassion just washed over them, and their true faith was reawakened instantly.
And the sutra says it so clearly. If Jyoti had just done the nice, conventional thing and praised the Buddha, it would have failed. Completely. They would have been lost forever. The only way to save them was this wild, paradoxical, seemingly negative action. It was the perfect key for their very specific lock. And this brings us right back to that parable of the wilderness. All of these strange appearances, all these paradoxical actions, they are all done for one reason and one reason only, to keep every single being on that one single path to the great city of enlightenment. There's no other agenda.
So at the end of the day, what's the big takeaway from all this? It's really this. You cannot judge the actions of a truly wise and compassionate being by their surface appearance. It's just not the right measuring stick. The real questions are always, what was the compassionate intention and what was the liberating result? The action itself is just the vehicle.
And that leaves us with a final question to think about in our own lives. How often do we misjudge a situation? Could that piece of tough love from a parent, or a really harsh critique from a teacher, could it be their own form of skillful means? Something designed not to hurt us, but to wake us up? It's a pretty profound thing to consider. Thanks for exploring it with us.